And hello, Punisher fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Entertainment. With me, your host Jonathan, once again bringing you my thoughts and review for the brand new Marvel special, The Punisher: One Last Kill. Now, The Punisher: One Last Kill is a Marvel special, like an hour-long special. I wasn't really paying attention to how long it was, but it's like around an hour. You know, not long enough for a movie, not short enough to be just episodes, but long enough to just be a nice little special. So the last time we saw Frank Castle, aka the Punisher. Oh yeah, by the way, before I forget, almost forgot again. Where's our trailer, Marvel? And also, congratulations to everybody involved in this because it takes forever. It takes a lot of people and a lot of teamwork to make a show, special, whatever. And it's very hard to make it. So, you have Frank Grillo, John Bernthal back as the Punisher, and yeah, now we get to see where he's at after the events of Daredevil Born Again season 1, where he was captured by Kingpin and his vigilante task force. He was able to bust out of it, and now with Kingpin no longer in power in New York City has become pretty much a playground for all psychos and maniacs to just come out and cut loose. And Frank is just he's at a low point in his career. He's still at a low point. He still has his post-traumatic stress he's dealing with. He keeps getting the visions of his former brothers from the Marine Corps. He's also seeing flashes of his beautiful wife and his children getting slaughtered and all that. And he's dealing with a lot. But he decided that he wanted to get revenge on the people who pretty much took out his family. So he did. Unfortunately for us fans, we didn't get to see him do that. But he did take care of them. And now he's on the hunt by the last member of the family that killed his family. I guess the mother who lost her husband and her sons. And she wants revenge. So she puts on literally a John Wick bounty hunter head price on his head at $615, because that was the time her last son died by his hand at 6:15 p.m. So anything goes. Whoever can kill Frank Castle, she'll probably pay up a lot of money. She's in a wheelchair, but she could pay a lot of money. You could tell she's a mobster and all that. So she means business. And then when 6:15 happens, she just lets people just go and cut loose and go after Frank Castle. Unfortunately, dealing with the Punisher is going to come with a heavy price. You want money? Okay, go try to kill the Punisher. Go try to kill him. And see what's going to happen to you. You're either going to need medical insurance, or you're going to have to pay the funeral directory right away. And yeah, we get to see Frank literally cut loose in here. And we also get to see weird, not weird moments, sorry. We get to see some visceral moments in this show or the special of just people just doing whatever they want on the streets, breaking people's, property, going after people in stores and taking them out. There was a scene where a homeless man was just sitting down with his little dog, and a guy just shows up and takes this guy's hat. He looked like a veteran, took his hat, and then took his dog, and then did some bad things to the dog. So you can clearly tell that the city's gone completely into chaos, and it's crazy. And they needed the Punisher to punish those who did wrong. And you get to see Frank do that, and I thought it was great stuff. There's even a scene here where he's kind of got close to a deli owner and his family, and he goes there, gets some food, whatever he can, says hi, he does his thing, he leaves. But when they get assaulted, Frank goes there and shows him why he's the Punisher. And it was great. They obviously, because the bounty was on his head and he was going after these people at the same time, and they were going after them just because the city's pretty much on the purge level now. Literally, the part of the city where Frank is at in New York is literally what the purge will look like if the purge was in the Marvel universe. So everybody was doing graffiti, beating up people, killing people. It was all that. But while that's happening, they also have a bounty on Frank's head. And you have people going after him in his apartment building, taking out anybody who's anywhere near around him just to get to him. And we get to see Frank cut loose and become the Punisher. And, that was actually really, really cool stuff. All right. So now that I gave you kind of a rough, like, little, like, what is the special about? It's literally just Frank just dealing with post-traumatic stress. You can clearly tell he's dealing with that. And, he misses his family. There's even one point where he's even considering ending it himself, if you know what that means. And, yeah, it doesn't, it's kind of like one of those, like, if you have those moments in your head of doing that to yourselves, talk to somebody, don't bottle that up, and don't hurt yourself too, because, it just hurts people around you more. If you're in the party zones, you need to talk to somebody. Just, if you're having those kinds of thoughts, just talk to somebody. It really does help. So anyway, so what I thought about this special, I was looking forward to it because, it's the Punisher. I like the Punisher. But as I watched it, a couple of questions came to mind to me. They're not exactly negatives. They're just more like concerns. I kind of feel like Marvel kind of wasted, not wasted their time. They kind of wasted our time as the audience of us watching Frank do this. This shouldn't, I'm sorry to say this. I know that the Punisher show, the TV show from Netflix, and the Daredevil show from Netflix is all canon now to the MCU. But honestly, I feel like this special should have came out first before we got to see Punisher in Daredevil, the new Daredevil Born Again show. Because this would have been a great way to open up Punisher being in the world of the MCU, the official MCU, Yes, we already had his special. We already had his 2 seasons in Netflix. But it's been a long time. And a lot of people probably don't have Netflix to watch it. And, they're like, oh, Punisher's going to be on Daredevil. That's awesome. Let's get a background story about him. This would have been perfect for that. I felt like, okay, because when we get to Daredevil Born Again and we see where Frank is at, we all know, for those who actually watched the show, we know how damaged he was. But he kind of, not precisely say heal himself, but he got to a point where, he kind of accepted who he has to be, and he lost his family. He already knew he lost his family. He's not going to get them back. There's nothing he can do but keep moping around, but he could continue punishing people who do harmful things to other people so they won't go through what he does. Kind of like what Batman does, where you don't see Batman moping around every single day, grieving the fact that his parents died. No, he takes action. He does what he does as Batman to make sure nobody feels like what he went through in that alley. Punisher is doing the same thing, but I feel like Marvel in this particular special went backwards with that. It's like, why are we watching Punisher feel mopey and sad throughout this entire thing after he already gone through that in his own original show that is officially canon now, and we're going back to that? It's like, it made no sense to me. But the action was great. I'll give it that. The action was great. The action was great for PG-13, and I'll get to that in a minute. Another negative I had about this was the fact it was just, they introduced stuff and elements to this. I'm like, okay, Punisher's going to deal with some new stuff. He's got to deal with this. And it's like, oh, this special could have been about him going after the people who went after his family and killed them and got revenge because he finally caught up to them. That would have been great for this entire special. No, flashbacks, cool flashbacks, but it was just like, yeah, he already did that already, previously on Punisher that we're never going to see. Rather that it's, maybe they decided they were going to do it, but they decided to cut it out. I don't know, but they decided to leave it out. So, okay. So now we're at the point where the supposed mother of the family member, who's the only member left, she's upset that, he killed every member of her family and she wants revenge, but we don't get to see the impact of that. We don't get to see her emotion. You get a little bit of it because she's in a wheelchair, and the actress did a really good job of doing it, and I appreciate that, but it just felt like a little too late, honestly. Where was, we left Frank busting out of a cage, like a dog cage, that he was trapped in. He gets out and he just walks away. Now I'm kind of nervous about seeing Frank in Spider-Man. I don't want him being all grumpy and, yeah, I lost my family, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. I understand. We've seen that, but I'm ready to see the Punisher. I'm not ready to. I don't want to see Frank anymore. I don't want to see Frank anymore. Frank is gone. A lot of people always compare, you kind of compare Batman and Frank, the Punisher, as, kind of similar. When Frank's family died, that's when Frank died. And he became the Punisher. And same thing with Batman. When Batman, Bruce Wayne lost his family in the alley, Bruce Wayne also died. And that's when Batman was born. I want to see the Punisher be the Punisher. So I'm hoping that when we get to Spider-Man Brand New Day, I want to see the Punisher. Obviously you're going to see a PG-13 version of the Punisher, but still, the Punisher, still, just the Punisher. And that's another thing that kind of bothered me about this. Look, we got Deadpool in this now, okay? And I know Disney is very Disney and family friendly, and I get it. I understand. But if you're going to give us Deadpool, and you're going to make him rated R, guess what? Marvel has other rated R characters. I'm not talking about making them all bloody, ripping heads apart and guts coming out. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about make them who they're supposed to be. If you're going to make it visceral, make it visceral. At least, that's why we had the TVM14, right? That's why we have a rated R thing, It's not for, a lot of this stuff is not for kids. You can explain that when you promoting these stuff, okay? I'm sorry. If this was an actual movie, it'd be PG-13, and a lot of people would have been upset about it. The action scenes were great, but I mean, we literally watched Deadpool and Wolverine, rated R. We saw Wolverine stab somebody with his claws in the face, and we saw that in a Deadpool Wolverine movie, MCU/Disney movie. But yet, when we get to see the Punisher take a pew-pew weapon and put it in somebody's face, and we don't see the face going boom, only the shadow and then the blood in the back. Yeah, come on. It's like, really? Are you going to tame? Do I have to worry now that you're going to start taming Deadpool now? And then what about Ghost Rider? And what about Blade? When he cuts off vampires' heads, are we not going to see that? Are we just going to see him just go sword and then it cuts off and then it's like the bladder, the splatter of the blood, and then we just see the vampire on the floor. It's like, either you're gonna neuter them, then neuter them. If you're not gonna neuter them, then don't do it. Then just make who these characters are. Yes, I get it. I know violence is very tricky subject. I get that in movies and TV and all that stuff. But a lot of us fans, we understand. If you're gonna do it right. I felt like, because I remember hearing people talking about this how visceral it was before I watched it, and how cool it was to see Punisher be Punisher. I was like, all right, finally. And he wasn't really Punisher. He was just PG-13 Punisher, which was not a bad thing. But it's like, come on. This should have been on Hulu. You would have put this on Hulu, because Hulu is owned by Disney. It would have worked better. But overall, this special was fine. But I also kind of felt it was also a waste of time. I mean, I was looking forward to seeing Punisher come back. Where's his head at now after this whole thing? Did he watch, Matt on TV reveal himself as Daredevil to the public? How does he feel about Kingpin no longer being? I was looking for that kind of stuff before he goes to meet Spider-Man. I wasn't expecting this show or this special to be like, okay, he's here, and then he goes here, and then Spider-Man shows up, and it's like, hey, we need to team up. I wasn't looking for that. I was just looking for that where's his headspace at before he gets to Spider-Man. And honestly, this special didn't give it to me. Gave me some cool action scenes, and it was great to see it, but it was still PG-13 version of Punisher, and we already had those. We already had that one, the one with, John Travolta's the bad guy. I love that Punisher, by the way. And it was great, but a lot of people really want to see the real Punisher, like Punisher Warzone. That was visceral. Where's that Punisher at? Come on. If you're going to do it, do it. If you're not going to do it, then just, give us something that's like today, not backwards. That's like my real negative about this special. I was looking forward to seeing this, and it was just like, eh. So, I personally thought it was okay. I wanted more. So hopefully, and I'm a little nervous now just to see how Punisher's going to be in Spider-Man. I mean, he might be the same Punisher in who we got from this special in Spider-Man PG-13 version, which is fine. Like I said before, it's fine to do it, but at least don't give us the whole he's still depressed, he's still upset. And I get it, he lost his family, he's pissed off and all that stuff, but he should have dealt with that already. Even when we got to see him in Daredevil, he felt like he was completely over that. He felt like he was completely over that. If you were going to make him mopey, you should have done that in Daredevil 3. Matt would have talked to him. He would have had his closure there. And then this special would have been his closure. Finishing off these people who killed his family. Then he could become the Punisher. But instead, it was just him just trying to survive. John Wick style, Purge style. And that's it. And by the way, the woman who put on the hit on him, still alive. So are we going to get a TV show? Are they going to continue that off? Another special? I don't know. But I'm now that I think about it, and after just say about it, I'm a little disappointed about this. But, it's a special. I think the best special they've done so far is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special and Werewolf by Night, Still want to know what those characters are from Werewolf by Night, but still. But what can you do? So, if you guys enjoyed it, awesome. If you guys loved it more than I did, cool. That's fine. But, for me, I was looking forward to seeing Punisher be Punisher. Kicking butt and, pewing people and doing his thing like he always does. But, we went backwards instead of forward. It's kind of weird. But either way, that's how I feel. So, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought. Did you guys enjoy this special for the Punisher? This one-shot special? Do you guys feel like I do? You feel like you kind of cheated out of it? Did you really want to see like a, pew and heads off and blood splatting all over? All that stuff? Did you want to see, Frank go forward instead of being backwards again? But still, whatever it is, leave a comment below. Let me know. Stay tuned for more. And thank you very much. And have a good day.